If you're gonna buy a business, what size of business should you buy? In the last video, I talked about a few funding options that actually a lot of buyers on our marketplace do actively use to acquire larger businesses or to reduce their own risks. And I wanted to talk about this topic after the funding topic to have you think about if capital wasn't as much of an equation, or if you had solutions to acquiring a larger business and you could choose essentially what size of business, whether that's a 5, 6, or even 7-figure business, what size of business would be ideal for you? There are a few things to take into consideration as far as who you are, what kind of skill sets you have, what your goal is for acquiring a specific business, to where one size of business might be more ideal for you over another. So we're gonna talk about the different tiers and what the realities of each level of business looks like, and ideally help you figure out what would be your target acquisition. So I'm gonna start with 5-figure businesses because this is actually the starting level on Empire Flippers. You can buy less expensive businesses such as 4-figure businesses, like even a site for $1,000 probably on other sites, but those are definitely starter sites. In many cases, those businesses likely aren't bringing in any significant cash, or maybe not any cash at all. So on Empire Flippers, we actually have a requirement where any business has to make at least $1,000 per month in net profit to be qualified to list on the marketplace, because our valuation multiples typically range between about 35 to maybe 45x. At the cheapest level, you're looking at a business of about $35,000 to $45,000. So businesses that are valued between $35,000 to $99,000 are making probably anywhere between $1,000 to about $3,300 per month in net profit. And it's very likely that there is no team. It's probably just the business owner running the operations. And it's also probably going to be a content related business. So this can be a website that's monetized through display advertising or affiliate income, or a combination of both. This could be an Amazon KDP ebook business / audiobook business. This could be even a YouTube channel. Now at this level, a business making between $1,000 to $3,300 per month, you're likely going to not be able to make this your full-time thing, at least at the time of purchasing the business. So a lot of people will buy the business with the intent of growing it. And in fact, we had a buyer on our podcast and we made a documentary video about, and she actually bought a YouTube channel on Empire Flippers, and it initially was making $3,000 per month in net profit. And she really doubled down on building this business. And at the time of recording that video, she was actually making $30,000 per month in net profits. So she actually 10x that asset. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this can very well become the asset that becomes a full-time thing, or it can just increase your overall income. All right, next let's talk about 6-figure businesses. So these are businesses that are, it comes in a huge range, $100,000 to $999,000. And these are businesses, depending on where on that spectrum, you can expect to be making about $3,300 on the low end to $33,000 per month on the high end. Sometimes there are businesses that are run efficiently enough to where it's still a one-person operation, where the seller's doing everything. But in many cases, whether it's for a content site that has writers that are consistently publishing content, or for Amazon FBA businesses where there's a 3PL involved, or there's customer support. So when you're acquiring a 6-figure level business, you're also acquiring potentially the talent that can help support that operation. And a business like this has usually existed for at least a year, probably more like 2 to 5 years. Compare that to a 5-figure business, where it's possible for a 5-figure business to have existed for shorter than that. And this is relevant because when you're thinking about whether it's better to buy a 5-figure business or a 6-figure business, when looking at a 6-figure business that has a lot more history, where you can look back at the years and see how the business performed over time, if it was hit by Google algorithm updates, if it was impacted negatively, if there were drops in demand, if it's a seasonal business, you're also more likely to purchase a business that requires less personal handholding because it's a more mature business that's hit that level of stability that just requires less of the seller's or the business owner's time. Once you're in the 6-figure level business, making $3,300 to $33,000 per month, in most cases, that is gonna be enough to be job replacing. So you have the option to make this your full-time thing if you wanted to kind of make that leap, but start out with that foundation of that monthly income. And the last point I'm gonna make here is that 6-figure businesses do tend to have more established brands. Not always, but in many cases there will be an email list or there's going to be just a more polished look with the business itself. And the fact that it's just been around longer, it's more likely that it has an audience that recognizes that specific business. And this is important for a couple reasons. One, that it increases the defensibility of new competitors coming into the space. Two, it also creates potential diversity of traffic and revenue streams. So if the business does have an email list or returning customers, then the business is less reliant on organic traffic or new customers for the business to survive. All right, next is the 7-figure business level. So these are businesses making between $33,000 per month to pretty much whatever the business is valued at. Now, similar to the 6-figure business level, these businesses have often been around for at least a few years, if not longer, in most cases longer than these 6-figure businesses. These businesses have a lot more history. They have also most likely established a brand and have a lot of intellectual property such as trademarks and copyrights to protect the brand. For Amazon FBA and e-commerce businesses, they've usually had some wholesale inquiries, so they're usually at that point where they're ready to enter conversations with brick and mortar retailers such as Walmart or other sales channels that can really take the business from just being an Amazon FBA business to potentially becoming a nationwide brand. And a lot of the buyers of these kinds of businesses, they can be aggregators who have received traditional funding to acquire businesses of this size to add to a portfolio of similar businesses, or it could be by a group of partners who have pulled together their resources and have maybe experience within this specific kind of business model. So who feel confident when they see a business, okay, I have had experience with scaling this kind of business because of maybe my experience with running advertising campaigns, or I can see that this business has poor inventory management and I have a lot of experience in that. So these businesses have often achieved a level of success while still having a lot of areas for growth, and they have proven that they're able to attract a certain size within that specific market. So you might be thinking, I cannot afford a 7-figure business, but let's say you want to consider working with our partner Boopos, who offer up to 80% of funding on certain types of businesses, specifically e-commerce businesses. Maybe you see a 7-figure business on the marketplace right now and you see that there are specific growth opportunities that you specifically know how to capitalize on. So by leveraging funding, you'd be able to acquire that business and grow it faster than if you were to purchase a 6-figure business. So usually what the strategy is that you'll receive funding, you will apply those growth techniques that you feel confident would be able to take even more market share and increase the monthly profit of that business, pay off the loan faster in order to take over complete debt-free ownership of a 7-figure business at this point. So if you are curious about what size of business you could potentially buy if you were to apply some of these funding techniques, then I would recommend watching this video where I go over 5 different methods of financing or reducing your personal capital investment into a business. So that is all for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.